is Nigeria really ready? There are issues of security also. Of course, there are flies on the wall, or they are the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria or are close to him, do not know exactly what is happening. At best, people are speculating. But this evening, all that will be put to rest because the president himself is willing to answer questions from four of us. I will start by introducing from my extreme right, Mr. Ibrahim Shame of Blueprint Media.
Good evening.
Next to him, we have Mr. Deji Badmos, who is a broadcast journalist.
Thank you.
And on my right is Mr. Ibangan Isine. Three of us shall be taking on your behalf, the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Good luck, Ebele Jonathan. Good evening, sir.
Thank you.
Nice to have you here.
You're welcome.
I think it's appropriate at this time to say a few words of welcome, first of all, to us.
Thank you. First, let me welcome four of you first, State House, for this brief media chat. And I use this introductory platform to appreciate Nigerians generally for supportive of government. The world is passing through a phase of history. Almost all the countries of the world have one problem or the other, and Nigeria is not out of it. And still, with this kind of situation, since Nigerians are going about their businesses and the economy has not collapsed, the social system is functioning. So I have to thank them. And also, especially consider the fact that this is a political period, as you mentioned. I've been watching the campaigns for both parties, especially the two top political parties, and very colorful campaigns. Shows the interest Nigerians have for the electoral process. Even the governorship campaigns I've been watching on television, they've shown the interest. The issues of PVC, permanent voters card, for example, interest me most because before 2011 elections, Nigerians don't talk about voters cards until we made sure that the Nigerians must decide who governs them at all levels. We made sure that with our own concept of one man, one vote, one woman, one vote, one youth, one vote from 2011, and we kept fit with that. Nigerians are now interested in having the voters card. So this thrilled me. But at the same time, one thing I've noticed that a bit worrisome is that a number of politicians are doing very well, but few people are doing things that, to me, is not the best. I always say that when you are coming for election, whatever office you want to hold, whether that of the president of the country or that of the governor of the state, there must be a nation before whatever you think you want to do could be materialized. If you want to develop the people, there must be the people before you can develop the people. If you want to fight corruption, there must be people before you fight corruption. Because these are key tools being used for campaigns. But whatever your mission, you must have the people, you must have a nation. So we must not destroy Nigeria because of our political interests. But thank you for this evening.
Well, we thank you most especially because, I mean, from my colleagues before we came in here, we're asking, okay, do you guys have an agenda? Do you have questions for us? And the executive said, that's not what we're calling here for. We want you to come and ask your questions. So I must tell you that we are here with questions. I personally talked to the driver that brought me from the airport today, and I asked him what his thoughts were. He said he's confused. He doesn't know what to do. Why were the elections postponed? Those were the first questions he asked. And will it still happen? So, and I think that's what's very uppermost in a lot of Nigerians' minds. So I guess my gentlemen friends have allowed me to be the first to fire the first salvo. So I would ask, what was the real reason for the change, of the date? You would have heard, of course, reports in the media. Your position is of the opinion that shifting the elections was not in the nation's interest, and they described this as another political gimmick by you. What do you have to say with regards to this?
People have not been fair to me. And I think the issue of rescheduling elections, I wouldn't want to say change of date for election. For the international community, I sympathize with them because in Africa there are cases, a number of cases. I've been a leader in Africa for quite some time now. I've been handling such cases where governments reschedule elections to extend tenure. So whenever you talk about rescheduling elections, they are a bit apprehensive. Is there any attempt for the sitting president to extend his tenure? But this is not the case in Nigeria. In Nigeria, the law makes it very clear that there's a range of time elections could be conducted, not less than 30 days to the inauguration of the new government, and not more than 150 days to the inauguration of the government. Within this period, the election could be conducted so that it does not affect the inauguration of the new government. But within that period, if there are issues that will require the electoral body to adjust the dates, it's not, they can always adjust. You recall that in 2011, the first election, I was already in my village in Bayelsa State. Mm-hmm. The eve of that election, I was already had traveled to my village before I was told that INEC have announced suspension of the election by 2 weeks, and I came back. So INEC did not discuss with me. I don't decide date for elections, but INEC work with security services because they must provide protection. The security services help to carry their materials, like the Air Force help to carry their materials, the Navy help to carry their materials, and of course, mainly they have to protect the staff of INEC, of course, ensure peace and security in the country. And you also remember that in 2011, when nobody even expected any crisis, 10 young people were just slaughtered. So there are a lot of security implications in conducting elections in Africa generally. So the security services, but they did not consult me anyway. If they should tell INEC, probably for one reason or the other, they should just within this period. Ordinarily, for me, it's supposed not to be an issue, but this is a period where we make everything, make it look as if it's a big thing. Because I always say election, it's like any tournament. Let us say 2 countries want to play soccer match. FIFA or so say you are going to do it in March. Later they say, okay, April or May. The winning team will still win. So I don't see the big deal about it. But you see, when people decide to make white look like black and make black look like red, the society will be confused. And
what you're saying is that the real reason is the same thing that INEC has said. That's what you're saying?
Yes, of course.
Okay. So
and I was not consulted, and I don't want to be consulted. In 2011, INEC did not consult me. Mm-hmm. If they had informed me, I couldn't have wasted my time. Mm-hmm. And the government resources, for any trip I make, I know what federal government takes. Mm-hmm. For me to move to one, even if I'm going to my village, my advance team will go there, 3 days, rape team, and so on. So a lot of costs involved. So there's no way I would have gone to the village.
We are still on this issue of elections, and I think my friends, and I'll ask Ibrahim to go now.
Thank you, Mr. President, for this opportunity to ask you questions. I think the main reason why Nigerians are worried about this postponement of the election is the reason given by INEC, that the postponement was necessitated by the fact that the military are busy fighting the insurgency in the northeast. So they will not be able to handle the election that was scheduled for next Saturday. Now, they asked for 6 weeks within which to be ready. So Nigerians are saying a war that was not won in 6 weeks, in 6 years, how could it be won within 6 weeks? So people are suspecting that there must be something hidden in the whole postponement idea. How will you clear this?
Thank you. Well, I'm not the chief of defense staff that wrote the letter, but as the chief security officer of the Federation, I should have some ideas. There are 2 things to this, because during the Council of State meeting, we met over this, Council of State, where all former heads of states and former justices of the Federation are involved, with myself, the President, Attorney General, and of course all the governors. They briefed us. They emphasized the issue of security. And no security operative will make everything known to everybody. There is no way they will disclose.
Not to the president.
They may disclose to me a number of things they will not tell others, which I will also not mention. But there are 2 things to the security. Yes, the Boko Haram aspect is there. but also the threat factor in the country. When the INEC came up with the dates for election, there was not so much threat until we started the campaigns. And they see a lot of red. So for any security chief, you really need to review the security architecture. Otherwise, the country will go into flames. So, elections, you have a lot of problems involved. And especially when the issue of PVC was also being branded as a problem. So INEC, from what Jiga mentioned, that they were a bit ready for the election.
They did?
Yeah, of course, they said they were ready. But to me, what they did, because after 2011, all Nigerians who were interested in voting had their PVCs. 100% of Nigerians who registered to vote had their PVCs. The day we held that meeting that led to this adjustment of dates, in Lagos, for example, only about 38% have PVCs. That means that if you conduct election in Lagos, 62% of people who want to vote will not vote. Don't you think that there are security implications in that area? So, some other states have 30-something%, some have just about 50%. And these percentages are not uniform distributed. There are some states where you have up to 68, 70%, some states 38%. So those who monitor the intelligence side of security services know the security implications about some of this. The ordinary people may not see it that way. But in terms of the Boko Haram too, because we are very hopeful that in the next weeks, of course, monitor and see from tomorrow, the movement will be much, much faster. The reasons are very obvious. We find it difficult then to really contain the Boko Haram the way we ought to have done, because we did not get the required equipment we needed, platforms both for the Army and the Air Force. Luckily, we've really gotten substantial quantity of this for now. But one of the key problems is that our neighbors were not too committed. I had several meetings with the president of Chad, for example, who was also willing to send troops, but he said that before he sent troops, AU, African Union, or the United Nations must key in so that whatever he's doing is legal, there's some kind of acceptability, there should be legal backing. So we're on that. So until when the AU met, and now AU passed that resolution, so it's now become legal, and that's why Chad has moved in now. Cameroon has moved in. So you really see that there's a hiding place for the Boko Haram again. You see that a place like Adamawa, before this time, you had about 7 local governments that were taken over by the Boko Haram. As we are talking, only Madagali that is remaining. And I believe in the next few days we'll liberate Madagali local government. That means that Adamawa State will be completely removed. Even if it is issues of elections and conduct elections in Adamawa State, we will move all the IDPs, internally displaced persons, we'll move them back to their communities. If the communities have been burned down by Boko Haram, we'll build tents within their communities so that people will live within their communities so that they can vote within their communities. Yobe State, 2 local governments, and in the next couple of weeks, we'll be able to take over those 2 local governments. And so if they are displaced persons, we'll move them, though the area is sparsely populated for Yobe State because it's the mountainous, very difficult terrain, but there are people who live there. Borno State is where we have more, about 10 local governments, 10 to 12 local governments that are in the hands of the Boko Haram, and in the next couple of weeks also, because we have started effective movement. So even in terms of the Boko Haram, what will happen in the next 4 weeks or so, Nigerians will know that the security situation is serious. But the issue of security is beyond the Boko Haram.